What does true leadership really mean, especially today, in a world that feels just saturated with self-promotion, with fleeting influence? How do we even start to tell the difference between leading for a real purpose, something lasting, and just leading for praise, for the applause? It feels like a pretty urgent question right now, don't you think? Well, get ready, because today on the deep dive, we're going to plunge right into an ancient text. And surprisingly, it holds some incredibly powerful, timeless insights into what this particular source suggests is God's design for leadership. We're exploring an excerpt from a devotional called God's Design for Leadership, an Ezekiel lamentation. It guides us through Ezekiel chapter 19, some really stark, vivid imagery in there. Now, before we jump in, just a quick reminder. Our source today comes from a specific faith tradition, but our goal here, like always on the deep dive, is to pull out universal principles, maybe some surprising facts. We're not here to endorse any single viewpoint, but really to understand the profound messages these ancient stories hold about power, responsibility, and influence. This isn't just dusty history. It's actually a lament, a cry that unpacks the devastating pitfalls of prideful leadership and shows a path towards, genuine influence. Okay, let's unpack this.
It really is a haunting passage, but so insightful. Ezekiel's lament kicks off with this powerful, almost tragic metaphor. Israel's princes are compared to lion cubs. You immediately get this sense of potential, right? Born from a lioness mother, symbolizing strength, nobility, promise.
Yeah.
They were meant to rule with wisdom, with justice. All the raw ingredients were there.
Yeah, you picture these cubs, born royal, destined for greatness. It's almost ironic, setting up what comes next. So what's the first sign things go wrong? How quickly does that potential get twisted?
Well, it's a really stark contrast. Instead of nurturing and protecting, the text says straight away these cubs learned to catch prey. And crucially, they devoured men. What's fascinating and kind of chilling is how fast leadership, when it's cut off from its real purpose, just becomes destructive. And we're not just talking literal violence, though that could be part of it in context. It's broader. It's like devouring people's trust, their resources, their hope, all for the leader's own gain. It's the ultimate betrayal of that stewardship role.
And the lament really hammers this point home with these specific, almost cinematic examples. 2 cubs, 2 princes. The first one, after learning to catch prey, devouring men. The nations hear about him, he's caught in their pit, and then brought him with hooks to the land of Egypt. Wow. That's an immediate, brutal consequence. Shows how quickly corrupted leadership makes waves, doesn't it?
Exactly. Their own pride, their self-serving actions lead directly to their downfall and capture. And it's probably no accident it's Egypt. Historically, Egypt often symbolized Israel losing its way, losing its sovereignty. Ezekiel uses those historical echoes, to highlight this devastating, repeating pattern of leadership failure. That's a vivid warning. Misuse your power, and you basically paint a target on your back.
So the mother, which seems clearly to be the nation itself, sees her hope is lost with that first cub. You'd think, okay, lesson learned, course correction time, but no, she raises another one. Did this cub learn anything? Sadly, no. The pattern just repeats itself, almost predictably. This second cub also learned to catch prey. He devoured men and seized their widows. He didn't just devour. The text says he actively laid waste their cities. The land itself was appalled. It emphasizes how devastating his actions were, not just to individuals, but to the whole of society, its very structure. It wasn't just greed, it was systemic destruction.
Right. So even with the second chance, even with the mother's renewed hope, it's the same destructive path. What was the final outcome for this second cub, this repeated ambition? Well, the lesson just wasn't learned, and the consequences came swiftly again. Just like the first, the nations set against him, spread their net over him, and he was taken in their pit. This time he's brought to the king of Babylon, silencing his voice entirely on the mountains of Israel. The message from this text seems incredibly stark. When leaders reject righteous rule, what this devotional calls God's ways, destruction is presented as inevitable. And it ripples out, affecting everyone. Their power, once that symbol of potential, the scepter for ruling, it became the very thing that undid them, led them straight into exile.
Wow. Okay, so we've seen this tragic arc with the lion cub's strength turning destructive, leading to exile. But Ezekiel's lament, it isn't done with the powerful imagery yet. It shifts now, doesn't it, to something very different, but just as poignant, the quiet strength of a vine. This image also tells us something crucial about leadership's potential and its pitfalls. What does this vine represent at first?
It's a great contrast, isn't it? From that raw, destructive power of lions to the vital, life-giving image of a vine. The mother, again representing the nation or lineage, is now described as this prosperous vine, planted by the water, fruitful and full of branches by reason of abundant water. It's a picture of just incredible flourishing potential. This vine represents a nation, maybe a line of leaders, blessed with resources, positioned perfectly for abundance, thriving.
Absolutely. It implies growth, sustenance, stability, and the text even says something specific about the vine's branches, right?
It does, yeah. It specifically says its strong stems became ruler scepters. That's a really crucial detail. It signifies legitimate authority, stability, the potential for a righteous, flourishing reign. The vine towered aloft among the thick boughs, a symbol of prominence, shelter, real influence. If you think about the bigger picture, this isn't just a healthy plant. It's like a people, a leadership, destined for greatness, capable of providing for and protecting everyone under its shadow. It's a metaphor for a truly good kingdom, really.
So you've got this image of immense potential, almost like a divine blessing, a powerful vine whose branches are the symbols of leadership. But, just like the lions, this flourishing image takes a tragic turn. What happens to this vine?
Yeah, the lament describes this devastating reversal, a complete uprooting. The vine was plucked up in Shiri, cast down to the ground. The east wind dried up its fruit. They were stripped off and withered. The once strong stem, the very source of its authority, its scepter, it was consumed by fire. It left no strong stem, no scepter for ruling. And it wasn't just destroyed. It was then replanted in the wilderness, in a dry and thirsty land, a place of total desolation, of lack. This isn't just a bad harvest. It's a complete loss of the capacity to lead, to provide. Irreversible.
Okay, so let's put these two metaphors together. The powerful lion cubs, the prosperous vine, both end up in ruin, in exile. There's a profound echo in their fates. What's the core message here?
I think it means both metaphors show this profound, tragic loss of purpose and authority when leadership goes off track. This devotional suggests it's a lament because God mourns. Not because judgment is enjoyable, but because, from the perspective of this text, his people refused his way of ruling. Their potential, squandered, their purpose, abandoned. It's really a cry of sorrow over what could have been, a source of blessing, stability, versus what it became because of self-serving choices, rejecting their whole foundation.
It really boils down to a core message, doesn't it? That leadership, as presented here, is fundamentally a calling. It's not a trophy. It's about huge responsibility, not just power for your own gain. This devotional argues that when you're given influence, it's not for self-promotion, but for something much bigger than just your own ambition.
Exactly. And this ancient text speaks so directly to our modern world, our relentless pursuit of influence. It's easy to fall into the same trap as those kings, chasing influence for ourselves through status, success, social media likes, whatever it is. It's so easy to mistake visibility for actual impact or self-promotion for genuine leadership. But this lament reminds us that real influence, the kind that lasts and truly serves others, it comes from a completely different place. It's about how you use your position, not just that you have it.
Okay, so let's bring this home for you listening right now. This isn't just about ancient history or prophecies. This source material, it challenges us with some really direct, potent questions. First, maybe just consider, where has influence been placed in your life? Could be at work, could be school, your community, your family, maybe just among your friends. Think about those areas, however big or small they feel.
And then the really critical follow-up question the text kind of implicitly asks is, are you using that influence for its intended purpose? Building up, nurturing, serving. Or are you maybe even subtly devouring resources or trust or hope for your own benefit, your own glory? In an office setting, maybe devouring men looks like taking credit for someone else's work or cutting vital resources just for a short-term personal win. Laying waste to their cities could be destroying team morale, eroding trust in the organization. It's about how we manage our teams, our budgets, even just our online interactions. Are we leaving things better or worse than we found them?
That's a powerful reflection, maybe a bit uncomfortable too. Because if you've thought about that and maybe felt a little pang, like, yeah, maybe I've drifted from leading with humility, with justice, the message here seems pretty clear. Today's the day to think about returning to that path. It's a powerful invitation, really, to realign your intentions with a purpose bigger than yourself.
Because true leadership, as both the lion cub and the vine metaphors show so powerfully, it's about stewardship. It's about humility and justice. It's about serving something much bigger than your own ego, your own aspirations, building up, not tearing down. Understanding that influence is a responsibility, not just a perk.
Such powerful, vivid images we've explored today. The initial strength of those lion cubs, their tragic fall, and that lush vine that withered, consumed by fire, losing its very ability to lead. The message they carry about leadership, it just echoes through time, doesn't it? It's a stark reminder. Genuine, lasting influence doesn't come from grabbing power for ourselves. It comes from humility, from justice, and focusing on something way bigger than our own glory.
This lament really is like a timeless mirror. It asks us to look closely at our own leadership, no matter our sphere of influence, big or small. It challenges us to ask, what kind of legacy are we actually building? Not just in what we achieve, but how we achieve it and what we leave behind us.
So maybe just a final thought to mull over this week. What would it look like for you personally to use your influence for a purpose beyond your own glory, leading with real humility, justice, and maybe even love? Just consider the ripple effect of that kind of leadership, no matter how small your sphere might seem. Think about how that quiet act of service, that humble decision, how it could genuinely start to transform your little corner of the world, maybe in ways you won't even see right away.